There are these types of situations that always feel like they're tripping me up. And it's all about introductions at work. You know, these type of meetings where somebody suggests, let's go around the room, popcorn style, everybody introduce themselves, say a few words. And something about that situation feels so performative. It feels like spotlights on you, 30 seconds, say something smart, witty, senior. And it's like this high pressure situation where it feels like you need to match the energy in the room. You need to be your most extroverted self to impress the others, to make sure that they walk away thinking, oh, she's good, from literally 2 sentences that you say about yourself. This is how I personally feel about introductions and why they become such high stakes moments for me. What I want to do today is I want to offer a slightly different take on what introductions really are and how we can potentially think about them and realize we don't need to impress the others in the room. It's not really about leaving a great first impression. It's not really about being our most charismatic selves. It's not really about being anyone that we're not. It's about driving clarity. It's about helping others understand who we are, what we're there for, and what they should come to us for. And it's a lot less performing. It's a lot less about performance than it is about driving that clarity. And I feel like there is so much to be said about moments like this. And I fully appreciate that I am still on a journey too, because I was recently on a work call where somebody suggested, let's go around the room, popcorn style. Everybody introduce themselves and share a fun fact about themselves. I go, what? I don't have a fun fact. I do not have a fun fact in 2 seconds. I can go away and I'm sure that I can come up with one in the next 2 hours, but not on the spot. And so it's something that I feel like we just want to have at our back pockets, right? We do want introductions to be something that we don't have to think about in the moment, but something that we give a little bit of time to, something that we prepare, something that we have ready for whenever this type of situation comes up, because I'm sure it will come up for you, it will come up for me. So I've done a couple of things to get ready for introductions for various different types. And today I want to get into some of the elements that make an introduction a great introduction, an introduction that doesn't perform, but one that really drives clarity of who you are, what you're there for, what people can come to you for, and then also give you a little bit of peace of mind as to what they can look like. So let's get into it. Now, if we would remove that layer about introductions that feels like a performance, what introductions are simply about? Think about the types of people who are in the room. The questions they have about you in those first couple of seconds of meeting you are, why are you here? What are you paying attention to? What should I come to you for? How are you useful to me, right? Like everybody thinks about themselves anyway, but if you can give people these 3 elements about you, it already gives you a great head start into working and collaborating with them. Because at the end of the day, that is really what it is about. It's establishing trust, building a foundation for collaboration, working together. You want to understand what these people are about, what they are for, and how you can potentially work well together. And how can you become somebody that they can work well with? It's not really about impressing them. They don't ask themselves the question of, oh, are they impressive? Are they charismatic? They might notice things about you, but it's not really what is important in that moment. And if you think down the line, the types of opportunities a great introduction opens up for, the types of things that you might say in those first 30 seconds that people take away thinking about, you might get pulled into another project that really fits one of the elements that you mentioned in your introduction. People might remember you for your specific lens, for what you're paying attention to, and elsewhere they might think, oh, I remember she said something about that. Maybe she could be useful there as well. It's the way you position yourself in an introduction that can be really beneficial for you down the line. It can do so many different things for you. It can make sure that people know exactly the scope that you are working on. Because if you just say, Hi, I'm Hannah. I am here from the brand side, or I am here joining from the marketing team. It kind of gives people a vague idea of what you do, but it doesn't give them exactly what you're there for, right? It doesn't give them the exact scope of, in this project, I am particularly paying attention to this part, or I am less here to do this and more here to do this. What that does is it almost creates a little bit of a boundary. It tells people, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm specifically focusing on in this particular project, and here's also what I'm not going to be doing. It could also make sure that people understand the types of things that you really like to do, right? Or how you think, or what gives you energy. You could say something like, I am really energized by going deep into the detail of things. I would love to be looped in early so that I really understand the context of what we're working on. That's when I do my best work. You know, these types of things where you almost give them the blueprint. You almost give them a hint at how do you do your best work? How do they get the best work out of you, right? And so introductions can be so much more than just, how does this person look? How do they articulate themselves? What are they wearing today? Are they charismatic? Are they great speakers? Do they do really well in this type of introduction rounds? Do they have a great fun fact about them? It really is about, how are you positioned? It's not about impressing anyone else. And if you think about it, done well, introductions can become a strategic tool for you. Leverage those first 30 seconds for what you want them to remember about you. And it doesn't have to be cringy at all. Think of it as leaving breadcrumbs, of sending the right signals, of kind of making sure that people know what you're there for, what you're paying attention to, what is the angle that you bring, and what should they come to you for. What I believe makes introductions a little easier is following a framework, almost like a little bit of a script. And it's really only 3 elements that you need to think about, and I've already touched on them. It is what you're here to do in this specific room, right? It's not always the same type of thing that you're there to do. It kind of depends on the situation, the room, the meeting that you're in. What is the context that you are joining this from? Why are you there? That's the first element. The second element is, what will you be paying attention to? What is your scope within this particular room, project, collaboration? What is the lens that you bring? What is the angle that you look at it from? What is the kind of problem you're looking to solve? And then the third element is, what do you want people to come to you for? Again, in this particular context, in this particular room, in this meeting, what is the type of thing that you are there for? What do you want people to loop you in on? I work in brand marketing, and if I wanted to give you an example, I would potentially say something like, hi, I'm Hannah. I am joining from the brand side. I am in the lead of rolling out this new campaign across our European markets. And what I'm paying particular attention to is making sure that the concept that we came up translates into all those different languages that we cater to in Europe. I am particularly focused on claims and messages. So if anything pops up around messaging, how this comes to life, how this is being translated across markets, please loop me in early. Please come to me for this type of thing. What this does is it makes sure that people instantly understand what you're there for, what you're currently working on, and when better to come to you, when to involve you. So they don't think of you as like, the secondary thing once, shit's already hit the fan, but they kind of think of you early, and they make sure that, we're touching claims, this is the type of messaging that we might want to run by them to make sure it's consistent and it's being done in the way that they want to. Another example could be, somebody is a project manager, right? And instead of just saying, hi, I'm the project manager on this project, they could say, hi, I am the project manager. What I'm here to do really is to cater to this group. I am here to make sure that you all have what you need to do your job really well. And I know that the success of this project really hinges on us working together and flagging early when deadlines cannot be met, when something is a high risk to achieve, right? I want to be the first person you tell when something feels off, when something feels like it could be slipping. I want you to come to me to remove roadblocks for you. I want to be the person you call when there is something that potentially could cause friction down the line. That's what I will be paying attention to, and this is who I want to be on this project. So again, it's just an example, and in this type of situation, you want to say whatever feels natural to you. This is a very important part of it too, is to make sure that whatever you say doesn't feel like a performance. It feels like it's coming from you and you genuinely say this, and this is the type of thing that you would say. But by creating this mood and vibe of, here is how I want you to use me, right? I'm the project manager on this. My objective is for things to run smoothly, and I want to always know when things could potentially become an issue. So you better come to me first. You are not in trouble. You tell me and we will figure it out, right? I think this is the type of introduction that creates trust, that is authentic if it comes across authentically, if you genuinely mean it. And it could obviously help remove friction. As a project manager, if you have ever worked on a big project, you will know that a lot of the success comes down to communication and making sure that information is being passed around in a timely manner. So for a project manager to open up a new group like that, I feel like it's really powerful. Now, I've already touched on this, but you always want to make sure that whatever you say feels natural to you. And this is easier said than done. I think it takes a lot of practice for you to come across, or I should say it took a lot of practice for me to come across naturally in meetings and in this type of situation where it feels like a performance. It feels like you need to impress the people in the room, the people that you will be working with. And it can take a little while and some practice to fully remove that and to become a little bit more comfortable. What I would recommend you do is you jot down a few notes. You don't need to overly prepare for this, but if you just kind of take a few bullet points into this meeting, it can be on your notes app, it can be on a piece of paper that you bring in, and it's just what you're there to do. Why are you in the room? What is your angle? What is your lens? What will you be paying attention to? And what do you want people to come to you for? These 3 bullet points set you up for, I almost want to say set you up for success, but that feels performative too. I believe what they do is they remove some of the nerves. They remove some of this element of, oh, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? And they give you something that you can use as a framework, as almost like a little bit of a script to do a job of being genuine, of looking into people's eyes, of making sure it comes across in a genuine way. People are listening to you, you can build rapport, and you can focus a little more on your delivery, because your delivery and it coming across genuinely is almost as important as what you say. So I always feel like there are going to be so many introductions in the workplace for you. Just take them one at a time and try to become better with every single one of them. Prepare a little bit in advance so that if somebody asks for a fun fact, you have a fun fact in place and in your back pocket. And you kind of always know, what are these 3 elements that I want to land? What are these 3 things that I want to bring across? And then if you don't find the right words in the moment, if you feel like you're struggling to articulate yourself, or you feel like you're still trying to perform a little and you're still too hung up with impressing the other people in the room, it's fine, because you can always improve. You can always get better. And at the end of the day, you will have still landed these 3 crucial messages. And I believe that is what counts. I would love for you to take this away. Jot down a few notes before an introduction, before you join a call, a new meeting where there's likely going to be popcorn style intros. And then let me know how it worked. Let me know what you ended up saying and how you improve over time. I genuinely want to hear from you. I genuinely want to know how this feels for you. And I think this is going to be good for us. See you next time.